Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So after Lucas Dostal's 55 save performance against the Toronto Maple Leafs in a goddamn 2-1 loss, the 23-year-old absolutely balled out. It kind of got me thinking, who are some of the best under 27 goalies in the entire NHL? Because typically, usually goalies hit their prime around like 26, 27. I think Sorokin was 27 last year. Shesterkin won the Vezina when he was 26 or 27. So I wanted to look at some of the young guys. We got 10 guys. These guys are all pretty good, pretty inconsistent, but these guys are probably one day going to be very good starting goalies in the NHL. So without further ado, let's get into it. First off, Dostal just barely missed the list, but at number 10, I have Joel Hofer, the St. Louis Blues 23-year-old that was drafted in 2018. He is quietly kind of stealing the job from Jordan Binnington. At least next year, I think he's going to take a lion's share of the starts, because right now he has a .911 save percentage in around like 15 or 16 games played thus far. It has been very impressive. The dude is 6'5", was expected to be a project, already making an NHL impact at only 23 years old. He was on my top 10 goalie prospects this most recent summer. I was pretty high on him because of his AHL numbers were solid. And yeah, he's looked very good, playing at a decent level. 9-11 again as a backup has been very impressive given the tools that this guy can work with. And I think as the Blues continue down this kind of retool rebuild path, I think next year he's going to play even more, and then in 2 to 3 years, this guy's going to be the guy in St. Louis. They have another fantastic guy in the AHL right now. I'm blanking on his name. It's a Russian, Zarenko. He was also on my top 10 goalie prospect list that I did like a week or so ago. They are loaded. They're going to have a very good goalie tandem post Jordan Binnington apocalyptic contract right now. But at number 9, I have Peter Korchetkov. He has definitely struggled to start this season. Last year, he had a solid .909 on the Hurricanes in around 24 games. He stunk this season to start. He had an .873 in around 10 games, but he came around and played much better in his last 9 games. He has a 1.88 goals against average and a .934 save percentage. Ranta hasn't really turned it around, but Kochetkov has kind of stabilized that goaltending situation in Carolina. Again, they just got to wait until Freddie Anderson gets back. He's going to be the clear starter. But I think going forward, Kochetkov can give them around 905 to 910 goaltending, perfectly serviceable. That's actually decent goaltending in today's NHL. He's one day going to assume the role as the Carolina Hurricanes starter. I think he's only 24 or 25 years old, so still pretty young, but right now he is a capable backup, a solid 1B in my opinion, and as a result, he gets a number 9 spot. Number 8, this might be a little bit controversial, but I got Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner, obviously fantastic rookie year. 50 games played, puts up a .913. Similar to Kochetkov, shat the bed to start this year. He had an .865, a 4-7-1 record, and 3.4 goals against. The Oilers were the second worst team in the entire goddamn NHL. I think he kind of had a wake-up call, especially after Woodcroft got fired, and then Jack Campbell got sent down for his poor play. Stuart Skinner was never really going to get sent down because someone probably would have took a chance on him in terms of waivers, but he has very much turned it around as of late. He has a .923 and an 11-2 record in his last 13 games. He is a solid, definitely a good, he should be probably a 1B on an actual team that has good goaltending. He's kind of thrusted into this 1A role, but I think he has settled down in this season, and we can expect going forward around 9-10, similar to what he put up in his rookie year where he had a strong case to win the goddamn Calder Trophy. I think Stuart Skinner definitely got shat on to start the season because he was playing horrible, but he is an Edmonton Oiler, so people did kind of pile on him, but of late, he has been pretty solid, and going forward, I think he can be an above-average starter for the Edmonton Oilers. Again, he's still only 24 years old. He still has time to develop, but he's been, overall, besides that 12-game stretch, he's actually had a pretty good NHL career as of thus far. Thus far, he has had a pretty good NHL career, so I have him at number 8. Number 7, Logan Thompson, another guy, if he was healthy all of last year, he probably would have walked to a goddamn Calder Trophy win. He had a .915, but obviously missed like a month of the season at one point, so he only played 37 games. But he has kind of struggled a little bit more this season than last year. He has a .902 right now. Adin Hill has obviously been the main guy in that tandem, but now that Adin Hill went down, Logan Thompson has really been relied on to assume that full starter's role, not getting that every other day, that 3-day rest in between games, and his stats have kind of suffered in the last month because of that. I still think going forward, he's going to be a very good 1B, especially once Adin Hill gets back, and he's not relied on to play 3 out of 4 games in a given stretch. But I still think Logan Thompson is a good goalie. He has a .1 goal saved above expected, so he's not like -4 and -5 right now. He's playing perfectly average goaltending right now, and I think going forward, he's only going to play better. Number 6, Joseph Woll. Not a giant sample size from him. Obviously, this year he went 8-5-1 with a 916. The previous years, last year he had a 932 in only 7 regular season games. In the playoffs, he had a 915 in 4 games. He had a 927 with the Marlies. So although we don't have this massive NHL resume to go with him, he's performed at every single level, albeit at a small NHL sample size, but he was great in the AHL. And although he is an older rookie at like 25 or 26 years old, I think he is an above average starter. We'll see with Leafs goalies. They've been prone to fall off a goddamn cliff after one good year. Hopefully that doesn't happen with Woll, but I think he is a solid above average guy, and they need him desperately to come back. It's pretty scary how if you told them at the start of the season, like, you will be in turmoil once Joseph Woll goes down because Samsonov's unplayable. It's pretty crazy, but Joseph Woll has been very good, and I think he will be able to stabilize that goaltending position once he gets back for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Number 5, Philip Gustafsson, a weird case. I could see you maybe putting him higher because, again, this guy was like the second best goalie in all of hockey last year on a per-game basis. He had a 931 in 39 games at only 24 years old. I think that probably was his greatest stretch of his entire career in a 39-game sample size, obviously because those are goddamn Vezina-winning numbers. But he did struggle to start the season, similar to a Kochetkov, to Stuart Skinner. He had an 881 and a 2-6-2 record. Minnesota's tandem was horrible to start the year, but he has really came on strong of late in his last 11 games. He has an 8-3 record with a 927 save percentage. Most recently, he has struggled. He allowed 4 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals in his most recent game. But overall, the first half of his season versus the back half, he has been playing a lot better. I don't think that he is going to be that elite goalie that he was last year, but I also don't think that he was as bad as he was to start this year. I think I would still have him in my top 20 goalies in the entire NHL. Maybe you can make an argument for top 15 if you rely on last year's start last year so much in your rankings. But I think going forward, this guy is only 24 or 25 years old. So I think he is a solid starter in the NHL as of right now. Number 4, Connor Ingram. Kind of bursted onto the scene this year. Obviously a 919, a 13-7 record. Main reason why the Coyotes, in my opinion, are a goddamn playoff team right now. And he's 11.1 goals saved above expected, which is the 7th most in the entire NHL, ahead of guys that are like perennial goddamn Vezina contenders. And when you look at him, even his Vezina odds are 20-1 right now, which are 8th best in the entire NHL. Yes, not a massive sample size with him, but last year he was a solid 909 save percentage in terms of goals saved above expected. He put up 3.7 in 27 games last year, so he was solid. Obviously, Vejmelka got most of the love last year, but he was a solid backup last year, and he's really emerged at 26 years old as a legit starter right now. Do I think he's going to be a 919 guy consistently? No, but I think he can put up something in the mid to low 910s. Isn't ridiculous given what we've seen over the past 2 years from him. It's a very inspiring story. The guy got put on goddamn waivers by Nashville at the start of last season for Kevin Lankinen. Kevin Lankinen's not having the same success, but Connor Ingram's been very solid, and as a result, I have him at the number 4 spot. Number 3, Jake Ottinger. Weird year for Jake Ottinger. Rookie year, he puts up a 911. Second year, he puts up a 914. Third year, he puts up a 919. You expect him to at least put up a high 910s, maybe even 920s, and compete for a Vezina. Finally take that next step as a true, maybe even top 5 goalie, because he was a top 10 one last year. Hasn't happened. He has a 901 save percentage this year with a negative 1.7 goals saved above expected. It's been very disappointing. Again, I have him this high because the track record is 2 years of solid, good starter play. You can't say that about a Connor Ingram. You can't say that about a Joseph Woll. So even though those two guys definitely are playing better than Jake Ottinger this season, I'm not ready to say that. I think Jake Ottinger will turn it around, and especially after seeing this guy can ball out in the playoffs, he has that clutch gene at times. I still think Jake Ottinger is a good starter, but he's definitely having a rough start to the season, if that makes sense. And as a result, he gets the number 3 spot. Number 2, Carter Hart, a guy that stunk. We thought 4 years ago absolutely stunk. He had a fantastic first 2 years in the NHL. He had a 915 in around 74 games total. Then back-to-back years in the 890s on Flyers teams that weren't very good. Last year, a 907 on a Flyers team that kind of just straight up stunk. And this year, he has a 912 on the Flyers. He has been very consistent, kind of the most consistent player on that Flyers team for the past 2 years, and a major reason why arguably they're MVP with the Travis Konechny. As to why they are playing so good right now, we need to get that season over season consistency going, because if the trend continues, 2 good years, 2 bad years, 2 good years, next 2 years might not be good for Carter Hart if those trends continue. I don't think they will. I think at this point he needs to be in your top 15 goalies in the entire NHL, maybe even knocking on that top 10 spot, but I got to do that in like 2 weeks. Do my top 50 skaters and my top 20 goalies. Can't wait for that controversy. But at number 1, shouldn't be that controversial. It's Jeremy Swayman. I know he gets some shit for playing on the Boston Bruins. Oh, he has a loaded defense in front of him, which is true to an extent, but the numbers are so impressive and so outrageous, and especially this year considering he's far outperforming Linus Ullmark. It's not like last year when he was just the backup that was putting up good numbers while Ullmark put up historic numbers. This year he has a 928 save percentage, which is the first in the entire NHL in terms of goalies that have played at least 18 games. He has 13.1 goals saved above expected, which takes out the defense score for the most part, which is third in the entire NHL, only behind Connor Hellebuck and Thatcher Demko, who he's played like 5 or 6 less games for. And just the 3 prior seasons, he had a 920 save percentage and 2.24 goals against average. I think at this point, I had Swayman as my number 9 goalie heading into the season. He's definitely going to move up a couple spots, maybe even switch with Ullmark, who's at like number 6. But at this point, you look at what he did in Providence, you look at what he did in Maine. The dude has just been an elite goalie everywhere he's gone, and especially this year playing on a per-game basis, like arguably the best goalie in the entire NHL. He is definitely the best goalie under the age of 27, in my opinion. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this list? Let's run through it. Joel Hofer, Kochetkov, Skinner, Thompson, Wool, Gustafsson, Ingram, Otter, Hart, and Swayman. Yeah, let me know in the comments. What do you think about it? Who'd you move up? Who'd you move down? Who'd you put in? Who'd you take out? I'll be seeing you in the next one.